G'day everybody, Nick here again from Super Cheap CPAP. And today I'm going to be talking to you about something that gets many people very confused, and that's CPAP batteries, or how to use your machine on a battery so that you don't have to rely on plugging it into a wall socket. Now this can come in very handy for a number of reasons, power outages, if you want to go traveling or camping, that's a great reason to get a battery. Or if you want to use it on an aeroplane, if you're traveling overseas. There's many reasons, many benefits of making your machine portable, because you can basically take it anywhere, use it anywhere without having to rely on the wall socket at home. Now, the reason this gets so many people confused is that there's a lot of different machines on the market and they all have different power requirements. And because of this, it basically becomes too hard for many CPAP providers to actually get their head around, and then for the passing on the knowledge to the customer, it all sort of gets lost in translation there. So I'm going to break it down to you the best I can, put it in layman's terms, so that you have an idea as to what your CPAP machine would need if you want to use it with a CPAP battery, or what you might want to look at getting if you're in the market for getting a CPAP machine. A few things to think about. So first of all, I'm just going to give you some of the basics when it comes to CPAPs and power. So a CPAP machine can either run on AC power or DC power. And AC power is like your wall socket at home. So in Australia, it's 240 volts. And DC power is direct current, and that's battery current, okay? So when we're talking about DC, we're always talking about batteries. When we're talking about AC, alternate current, we're talking about our power points at home. Now, the machine itself, even though all the machines are plugging into the power point at home, they're all running on different voltages. So, for example, this ResMed here in front of me, even though you plug it into a 240 volt socket at home, the actual voltage going into the machine is 24 volts. Now that's because that adapter block that you have on your with the machine is actually converting the current there. Okay, it's converting the voltage, I should say. So these machines, although they're all plugging into the wall socket, can be running on different voltages. So that's what gets quite confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the different manufacturers and what voltages their machines are, because depending on the voltage depends on what battery you get. So we'll start with the Philips Respironics range. Now, if you've got a Philips Respironics, they're all 12 volt DC machines. So what that means is basically you can grab a 12 volt battery and you can connect it straight to your machine as long as you've got the DC cable. Now the DC cable is just a fancy name for the cable that runs between the battery and your machine. Okay, so Philips machines are great in the fact they're all 12 volt. It's very basic. All right, you don't need to get converters, you don't need to get inverters. It's just 12 volt battery putting 12 volts directly into the machine. Let's go now to ResMed. Now ResMed machines, the S9 and the AirSense 10, which are the latest two, are 24 volt. So that means that you can either use a 24 volt battery like this one is here in front of me. So this is a little 24 volt battery. I can switch this on. Alright, and you can see the machine's turned on, and I can actually hit the button. It's going to be noisy because there's nothing on the end of it. There you go, so it's going to turn on. How's it going? There you go. Alright, so that's running, that's the DC cable there running straight into the machine. And because it's a 24 volt battery, 24 volts, 24 volt machine, boom, straight up, easy. Now, if you're not going to use a 24 volt battery and you want to use a 12 volt battery, what you need to get in that scenario is what they call a DC converter. Because what we're wanting to do is convert the 12 volt battery power into 24 volts. So it's a 12 to 24 volt converter. So you can check that out if you need to. So if you're wanting to say, for example, use your car battery, you want to plug, or a boat or something else, you can still use that 12 volt battery, but you'd need to get that converter, 12 to 24 volt converter, which converts the 12 volt battery into 24 volts and plugs into your machine. Same with the AirSense 10 24 volt machine. Let's talk about Fisher and Paykel. So Fisher and Paykel machines don't actually run on DC. So they don't actually run on direct current battery power. They only run on AC, which is your wall socket at home. So in order to use a battery with a Fisher and Paykel machine, what you need to do is actually get what they call an inverter. Now, an inverter is just the device that inverts the DC power of the battery. So it basically changes the DC power into AC power. It acts like a wall socket. So it's basically turning this battery into a wall socket at home. Okay, so that's what you need to get if you're going to use a Fisher and Paykel icon. And it needs to be, I think, around 300 watts. If you're going to get an inverter to use with a battery, 300 watts gives you a little bit of a safety buffer, and it can be a modified or a pure sine wave inverter. So you can pick them up at your super cheap auto stores, your Repco, JCar Electronics. You can pick them up online. Just search for a 300 watt inverter, and you can use that with a battery then with your Fisher and Paykel. Let's talk about DeVilbiss. Now, DeVilbiss is great. It's a 12 volt machine as well. So any 12 volt machine, we know we can use a battery, 12 volt battery, bang, straight in DC, and away we go. The beauty of the DeVilbiss is that all their battery circuitry is inside the machine. They don't have those big blocks like the Philips do and the ResMed do. So all that stuff's internal. But we can grab a 12 volt battery, plug it straight into the back of the DeVilbiss machine, and it will run it fine. Let's talk about Transcend. So Transcend machines, they have their own battery packs that you can get. They're the little portable machines. They've got their own battery packs. They've got a P4 and a P8, the P8 being a multi-night battery and the P4 being the single night battery. Let's talk about BMC. So BMC is an AC machine. Like Fisher and Paykel, you would need an inverter, 300 watt, if you want to use it with a battery. Apex machines, if you're wanting to use a battery with the Apex XT range, you need to get an inverter. AC machine once again, whereas the ICH, the Apex ICH, is a DC machine which can be used with batteries. I think I've nearly covered them all. Let me just think. Yep, I think I've got them all. So I hope that's a bit of a lesson there for you. A few more tips about using machines with batteries before I finish up. It's also important to know that you need to turn off your humidification when you're using a battery, unless you're using a really big battery, because that heating element that's in the humidifier or the heating tube element will significantly drain your CPAP battery or your battery quickly because it chews up a lot of juice. Whereas the actual motor by itself, see, I've disconnected the H5R humidifier off this machine, will last a lot longer because it's not going to draw as much power. So that's an important. Some machines have flight modes, like the Fisher and Paykel Icon Plus, so you can switch into flight mode, and this just makes it very energy efficient. It means it's great, if you're using an inverter. It switches off all that power to your humidifier and your heated tubing and everything like that. So I hope this has given you a little bit of an understanding about using your machine with a CPAP battery. They come in different shapes, different sizes. This one in front of me here is a little C100 battery. It's very small, portable, thin. It will last a full night on a single charge before you need to recharge it. So I could just take this machine tonight and sleep in my car if I wanted to, and just run it from the battery there, and away it goes. So there is a really good website you can check out that we've done. It's called cpapbatteries.com.au. It has a lot of great information on batteries and battery systems and how to use your machine with a battery. The good thing about it is we've taken out all the hard work, so you can choose what your machine is and choose a battery pack for it, and you can be assured that it's going to come with all the cables and all the necessary equipment for your specific machine, and it will be the correct voltage, etc. So thanks for watching as always. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/supercheapcpap. And drop us a line if you want to talk about batteries, and I will see you shortly on another video. Thanks. Bye.